Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Today's webinar, 27 Free and Low-Cost Ways to Drive More Traffic to Your Website, is co-sponsored by MainStreet Hub and Doctor.com. First, I'd like to introduce Kristin Booth of MainStreet Hub. Kristin, can you share a few words about MainStreet Hub and what you guys do?
MainStreet Hub, we actually manage social media pages on behalf of small businesses, and a big majority of our current client base is in the health and wellness space. So what that actually means is we work with the small business or practice to actually develop a strong voice, and we have a content writer, graphic designer, social media expert actually manage those pages on behalf of the businesses we serve. So it's often been said that in order to effectively manage a business social media page, you need to have about 50 to 70 hours a month dedicated towards just managing those social media pages as well as customer review sites. And we take all that under our roof here in Austin, Texas, on behalf of the customers we serve throughout the country.
Thanks, Kristin. And I'm David Brooks, co-founder of and search marketing advisor to Doctor.com. Doctor.com is the leader in marketing automation for healthcare practitioners. We have a proprietary network of content partners that updates thousands of provider listings every day. And we give practices unique tools to manage their online reputation and get authentic reviews from real patients right at the point of care. Today, here's what we're going to cover. First, creative ideas and strategies for getting you more free and low-cost sources of traffic to your website. Some people call this earned traffic versus paid traffic. We're both going to talk about how content and your content strategy is really the center of this effort. Next, we'll speak about some obvious and not so obvious ideas you can implement today that will yield a boost in free traffic. But we'll temper this enthusiasm with some hard truths about what it takes to win online. It's not about getting something cheaper. Finally, Kristin will cover the most important and most difficult part of earned traffic, how to master social media. So what brings us here today? First, you are probably all thinking that AdWords is expensive. And yes, this is true, but it's also a reflection of its effectiveness. People are paying $20 to $40 per click on AdWords for healthcare keywords precisely because it's worth it for them to do so. We know of clients that spend $25,000 a month on local healthcare campaigns, and they find it still has a positive ROI. But not everyone can afford this, and not everyone has the sophisticated inbound marketing staffs that can take full advantage of this paid traffic. So let's focus on a few truths about low-cost earned traffic. First, organic search traffic especially converts better than paid. Visitors from social media tend to form deeper, more meaningful interactions than visitors from search. Free traffic can be more important, but insufficient to get new patients. Now let me explain what I mean by that. Check out this scenario. A visitor from a paid ad comes to your site, looks around, but does not call or submit a form. And in fact, only 1 in 5 visitors from the best paid campaigns actually do, especially when they found your site by using some generic keywords like dentist Cincinnati. But they bookmark your site and then started checking you out online by name. So if you pass this test, if you have great reviews, great online profiles, a buttoned-up online reputation, that visitor will come back to your site via the bookmark page and will make a call or submit a form. In technical terms, this is an example of multi-channel assisted conversions. Paid advertising was necessary yet insufficient to get the appointment call. But that call would not likely have happened had you not advertised. This is one of the reasons why online reputation management is so vital. Patients do their homework, so your online reputation can influence the patient decision-making process. Free traffic also brings a lot of what you don't need: unqualified patients, calls from potential vendors, job seekers, other irrelevant inquiries, general time wasters that really you don't want to spend a lot of time dealing with, and you want to find a quick way to filter it out. Fortunately, good tracking measures helps you weed out this good free traffic from the bad free traffic. So before you start investing in a plan to get you more free and low-cost traffic for your website, make sure you have the following already in place. First, a website that you can easily update. Next, a blog hosted on your own domain. Something like drsmith.com/blog works very well for a lot of reasons. Next, you should have a handful of essential social media accounts that you know how to use and you know how to update frequently. You should also have sophisticated tracking systems in place. A bare minimum would be web analytics and phone call tracking through systems like CallRail. And CallRail is a service that we use at Doctor.com. It's also a webinar partner that we had a webinar with last week. And finally, you should have the resources to create good quality original content on a regular basis. And let's talk about that. So Kristin will have an entire section on content, but I want to emphasize something that's very important. To get free traffic, you have to give people a reason to want to visit your website. They're not just going to come willingly. And so qualified patients will come if they feel that you have something useful that they can learn, content that they want to read. And that starts with something that is good quality, authoritative, and original. So that would take many forms too. It's going to be video, it might be audio from a presentation, and it's most probably written text. And written text is actually the most important since search engines use text to identify keywords that attract people to your content. But text content is the most difficult because it involves the most work, research, professional writing skills, and editing. And most of us suffer from this writer's block of just how to get started. So here's a suggestion that hopefully will change your attitude towards writing content. Since no one has the time to write these days, but most of us have the time to talk, why don't you record yourself? Take an inexpensive digital video camera and start recording a lot of the things that you would use to generate content. And that content can be repurposed in a number of different forms. So let me give you examples. You might record yourself reading a vendor brochure, or you might record yourself reading or summarizing an article about a new device or a new procedure. You can invite patients to record testimonials for you, especially if you have before and after photos that they're willing to share. You can record a demonstration of a procedure. Think about the camera as being a patient in your office, then simply explain each procedure that you do in clear, concise, and friendly ways. Use props and gestures and close-ups. Record the introduction of a new piece of medical equipment or diagnostic device that you recently installed in your office, and kind of explain to patients, explain and pretend you're talking to patients, and always emphasize why this is going to benefit them, what's in it for them. After you do this, you're going to have hours of video recordings that can be professionally edited, and editing web video is not very expensive at all. You also have audio tracks which can be shared on audio-only sites like SoundCloud. And with the help of low-cost transcription services, you have text that you can edit. And it's a lot easier to edit existing text than it is to start with a blank screen or a blank piece of paper. There's one service I always recommend that's very inexpensive and pretty good. It's called Scribie, SCRIBIE.com. And for 75 cents a minute, they will transcribe virtually anything that you have. So it's a great way to kind of break the stalemate and break that writer's block and generate a lot of content that can be used in a lot of different ways to attract people to your website. Okay, so that's the basics. Let's talk about some of the easy things that you can and should be doing right now to build traffic. And everyone, this could sound really obvious, but believe me, people forget this all the time. Make sure that your website is linked on every email that you send out and every email that your employees send out. That includes patient reminder notices, invoices, inquiries, anything that goes out on email should have an email signature with your website link on there. Make sure that your website is on all your business cards, on your invoices, patient reminder cards, road signs, display signs. The next thing is fix all of your online listings and make sure that every place that you're listed online, if they allow it, it includes a link back to your website. It's just so much easier for people to actually click on a link than it is to call you from any kind of listing. So easy, but yet people forget to do it all the time. So the next thing is to seek out websites and social media pages of local publishers. Radio, TV, newspapers, magazines. Every community has a range of sites that cater to people in your surrounding neighborhood and your trading area, your market area. And find a plausible way to ask them to link to your site. A lot of them have resource pages. A lot of them have pages of local providers. Now, this is probably going to result in people then wanting you to advertise with them. If you're already advertising with them, then it's obviously an easy discussion. But if you're not advertising, think about this as a one-time cost. You can advertise for a month, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But a lot of time, those resource pages and those links stay there and persist for months or even years. And so that one-time small investment will result in a long-time payoff. So next, I'm sure everyone gets calls from local charity groups, especially at this time of year. Support my dinner, support my teams, promote my event. And so here's a fair and easy way to sort out those opportunities without being a Grinch to everyone. Your primary question is going to be to see if that organization will link back to your website. If so, it's probably worth paying a one-time fee of $100 as a donation to the cause. If not, you can easily say no because it's not part of your strategy, or you can decide or not based on the merits. But it's the idea that you want to get a website that will link back to you for two reasons. One is there's an obvious SEO benefit here. And this and what I was talking about before about publications, this is a very standard SEO technique. But it also is a very valid way to get a lot of local qualified traffic to come back to your site. Because invariably, any charity, any kind of institution that's local is going to attract a handful of local patients coming there. And so these are sometimes they're free and sometimes they're very inexpensive, and yet they're very effective and highly targeted for what you want, which is people in your local area. In that same vein, you should be seeking out all of your eligible provider listings. And these are things like insurance sites, patient finder, patient lookups for all the insurances that you take. To the extent that you have privileges at local hospitals, make sure that if they have listings and there's a place for a web link that you avail yourself of that opportunity. Occasionally, you'll have hotels that will list preferred local doctors, local dentists for people for emergency care or things like that. Make sure you get on those lists. If they have websites, especially, make sure that you're on a list of trusted local providers. Chambers of commerce, the same kind of thing. Hotels and condo complexes, especially if it's short-term relocation complexes or people who are new to the neighborhood, being on the list like that. A lot of apartment complexes have their own internal websites, and make sure you get listed there. Corporate HR departments for people that are relocating into your area. Make sure that all of your physician professional referral partners have you listed on their website, or in some ways there's a reciprocal link there, but just make sure that you have a list. If they have a list of people that are trusted, make sure that they link back to you with a link to your website. Insurance company provider directories are getting better, but some are still out of date, so make that a top priority. And also, if you're affiliated with a branded or medical procedure or a device, and you want to be listed, say, by a pharmaceutical company as a local provider, be sure you get yourself listed on their Finder provider pages as well. Okay, so the next kind of opportunity is to leverage your expertise and become a local authority on specific topics. And these are a range of mostly national, but they do have some effect, especially if you're in a larger city area where people are looking at a lot of these sites. So there's Quora, which is an excellent website on just a range of different topics. LinkedIn has thousands of different affinity groups about healthcare, about diseases, about a lot of topics. Get noted and get involved in discussions on those sites, and make sure that your profile has a link back to your website. Answer questions on public forums. Answers Yahoo is a good one. Reddit is an up-and-coming one. And then think about self-publishing some of articles and commentary on LinkedIn, on SlideShare. Look to submit guest posts on local healthcare blogs and local business websites. If you're a dentist, find local businesses that specialize in aesthetics, like a spa. Find a local cardiologist with a blog and guest post about the connection between good dental health and good heart health. If you're a nutritionist, think about writing about malocclusion and how that might cause eating disorders and malnutrition. Find a psychologist with a blog and write about how bad teeth and dentures cause seniors to become socially withdrawn. The possibilities are endless, but think about a creative and plausible connection about why you should be writing on someone else's blog. And always make sure that when they look at the author's profile, there's a link back to your website. And there's another resource that's pretty popular. It's called helpareporter.com. And this is a way that you can get listed as a national authority on certain medical topics. So a lot of times reporters will come to that website on a fast-breaking story looking for someone who can speak authoritatively about a disease or about a health-related topic. And it's another way to get yourself in the newspaper. So think about becoming your own publicist in a way. You can also approach proactively any kind of reporter at a local newspaper. And if there is a story in the news today, call the reporter and introduce yourself. If you're a plausible authority on that topic, introduce yourself as a source and say you have an opinion about that one and you think it's important. Any reporter will give you a minute or two to make your case. If not, well, okay, you didn't lose anything except a phone call. But if you do get quoted, that's another opportunity to get a link back to your website and to build that traffic. So here's some other ideas that some are seemingly obvious, but some hopefully will be something you'll find creative. The first is use a service like MailChimp to send out automated personal emails based on patient profiles, not based on health conditions, though. That's kind of important. There's a HIPAA concern that you have to be aware of. But think about, in terms of people that maybe are, annual checkups or non-health related milestones that you might have. MailChimp allows you to cross-post. When you create an email blast, you can then cross-post on several different social media channels. So it's kind of a way that you can kill several birds with one stone. And then when you have a bit of news to share, say you read an article in the newspaper or a magazine or you see something online, rather than sending a link to that article, think about putting a snippet or a small summary of that article on your blog, and then sending out emails or social media posts referring back to your blog and not to the third-party website. Free use, you can take a snippet, maybe the first paragraph, and then have a link out to the article. But it's very important that whenever you're trying to build traffic to your website, think about driving people back to your blog first. They can read the article and then they can go back to the reference source. Another idea is to think about running a contest. If you're an oncologist or an orthopedic surgeon or an occupational therapist, what better way to signal positive outcomes than to sponsor something like a travel photo contest? Patients have restored mobility and hope. They can demonstrate their success and yours through great photos at exotic destinations, and especially if they're accompanied by a short testimonial. They wouldn't have been able to make that trip had they not had a great outcome because of your treatment. If you're a dentist, think about a best smile contest. If you're an orthodontist, think about a before and after graduation photo. If you're a nutritionist, or if you're involved with weight loss, think about having a contest, the greatest loser kind of contest, and then track people's progress using apps like MyFitnessPal, Spark People, or Fat Secret. So these are just some of the things, but contests are especially effective and a very low-cost way of building a lot of buzz and a lot of traffic that comes back to your website. And finally, think about low-cost alternatives to advertising. Search marketing has kind of an expensive reputation, the pay-per-click model. But there's lots of other vehicles that make a lot of sense. And so one of the best ways to increase your traffic is the use of banner ads. And some people call them stalker banners, but they really work, and they're a fraction of the cost of the traditional search ads. And when you get a sufficient number of visitors to your site, you can actually build an AdWords display retargeting campaign. So once someone visits your site, they'll be tagged, and then when they go to a lot of different other websites, they'll see your banner pop up in a lot of different and unexpected ways. And a lot of several days after they visit the site. And it's an amazing, effective tool for brand awareness and for even new patient acquisition. If you remember what I mentioned before, we're all in this multi-channel assisted conversion world these days. So banner retargeting is another tool that helps keep you top of mind with patients. And all that traffic that you're building, all of those visitors get tagged in the same way and are eligible to see those banners. So this is where they kind of work hand in hand, is that if you can increase your free visitors, they all will get tagged, and then all will see those banners on subsequent visits to other different websites. Okay, so just to summarize, what I wanted to say here is that free traffic, just make sure that you're getting the right kind of traffic to your site, and make sure that you can effectively track and measure your progress, and so you know where that good traffic is coming from and how to act on that. Try new techniques. The internet is a very good medium for trying everything once, but always measure and analyze and make sure that that was a good investment. It's always good to try something once, and as long as you know whether it was a success or a failure. Work to create your own content and do so in an efficient way. That's something that you can do in a day in, day out. The worst thing is to have writer's block, have an ambitious content marketing program, and then really have nothing to show for it. And work with a specialist to ensure that the content remains high. And always find ways to reuse, recycle, and repurpose. Content is very difficult to create, so be very creative about how you can use that over and over again in new mediums. And finally, talk to experts and about MainStreet Hub and their expertise in the very challenging field of social media marketing. Kristin, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. I lost track. We definitely have already superseded our 25 or 27 free ways to get web traffic. You offered so much rich ideas, and I hope that everyone, I'll be sending out a recording if you weren't taking notes to ensure that everyone gets all of those great ideas. Thank you so much. And just for those of you that maybe missed the initial part of our introduction, I'm Kristin Booth, and I work with MainStreet Hub, a marketing company that provides the voice for thousands of small businesses online through social media, and we drive droves of customers to the businesses we serve. And I'm really thrilled to be here today and to discuss how you can serve your customers through social media platforms. No matter your relationship with social media, whether you have personal pages that you keep up with or not, it's an integral part of your business and how your patients will actually find you. And really, it can work for you if you really think of it as a tool to provide customer service. And how you handle those social media pages is really an extension of the experience that patients will have in your office and in your place of business. And here's the good news. You don't need to be savvy with a camera, be the most witty on Twitter, or really even have thousands of followers. You simply need to provide for your patients in the best way possible in your little corner of cyberspace. And the first thing that I really want you to think about is, when was the last time you searched for your business as if you were a patient searching for a new physician or a new massage therapist or acupuncturist or whatever it is your specialty lies? Think about your website, your Facebook page, your Yelp page, or a Twitter account if that's something that you do. More likely than not, there is a conversation on one of these platforms, if not all of them, about you and the service that you provide. And customers and patients can actually start a Yelp page about your business that's unofficial without you being a part of it. And they can start an unofficial Facebook page as well. And so searching for your business online and claiming any unofficial pages is really going to be the first step in managing your social media presence and really discovering where your patients are and how they're going to find you. Any unofficial pages is also really an indicator of where they are and thus where you should be. And so many of us have personal accounts on social media where we share everything from where we spend our vacations to what we eat for lunch. And when you're sharing for your practice, actually, it's imperative to be strategic and to have these three things in mind: reputation, word of mouth, and proactive outreach. And so one of these buckets should be front of mind whenever you are posting or making the content that David was actually speaking to. And as he mentioned, people and patients do their homework. And so having these three things really be managed will help you be found and ultimately chosen by patients. So reputation is really your opportunity to reach new customers. And so Google+, Yelp, and other sites that actually cater to doctors and health and wellness professionals are your primary tools for this. These are going to be what pop up when people search for physicians, acupuncturists, podiatrists, things like that in your area. And so that's going to be really how you capture those new customers, is through reputation management online. Word of mouth is when people talk about their experience in your office. They do this already. They definitely will do this in the future. And so engaging in these conversations and posts, encouraging customers to follow you on social media, and check into your office if that's something that you want to do. Those are actual ways to get friends and referrals. The average person has about 200 to 250 friends on social media, and that could be whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. So if you only have, let's say, 50 followers, if each of those followers have 200 friends and contacts in their outreach, that means that you have the potential to reach an audience of 10,000. So even if you don't have a ton of followers, it's really the quality of those followers that's going to make the difference. And so engaging in those people will help you get those friends and family referrals. And then finally, proactive outreach is when you continue that great customer service long after the patient has left the building, responding to reviews, producing an email newsletter, and like David mentioned, writing engaging and helpful posts are all opportunities to extend your service and your expertise beyond your walls and really encourage those patients to come back and even have the potential to reach a new audience. So once you've claimed and created your business social media accounts, you need to develop a really clear and consistent online presence, because to be found and chosen, you do need today's word of mouth, which is online, customers and patients reviewing you, posting about you on social media, etc. And so that consistent online image will help potential patients easily find your office on a variety of different platforms. And I have a few kind of ideas that were front of mind here that are the most popular things that I typically see with businesses, whether it's health and wellness or any other type of business. Ensuring your name is correctly listed on all accounts, your hours of operation are clear and visible, your contact information is listed and easy to find. And here's the thing, if you have a cell phone on you right now, a smartphone, do a quick search of your business. Being mobile optimized, meaning that your website can transfer easily to a cell phone and have a clear outline, is something that's going to really be important since most things are moving over to mobile. You'll notice in the example that I listed that the mobile site has a big call button at the top where people can actually call and ask questions. So that's a really great idea to consider. And keep in mind with your website as well that it's really going to be important that you have respect for patient privacy, of course, but also have a disclaimer on your website to ensure that everything on there and your connection to your institution is really apparent, and making it clear that you're speaking for yourself. If you're writing like blog posts, But even a disclaimer to protect yourself is going to be really important on that if you're going to utilize a blog post concept. So keep in mind that only a doctor and a healthcare professional can speak to drugs and medical devices and that sort of thing. So really make sure that if you're responding to patients, that you're really encouraging them to make those appointments, and you're not going to be disclosing their information and offering medical advice without actually seeing them. So keep those professional considerations in mind, and using a disclaimer is a really great idea here. And so here is how we at MainStreet Hub really like to help the businesses and medical offices that we serve, is we actually divide up content on behalf of the businesses we serve into A, B, and C content. And so when we're posting on behalf of the businesses we serve, there's a lot of differentiation. And the key to social media is consistency. So if you're consistently posting on social media for a month and then kind of fall off, you might find, or you will find, that your engagement and followers become very disinterested. And so by really making sure that content is different and special and there's new things going up on a consistent basis, over time, your engagement and your followers will soar. And the results that we've seen from our strategy are astronomical, well over 100% engagement difference over a period of 3 months. So it's really impressive. And here's the thing, if people are choosing to follow you on social media, they want to hear from you. They're raising their hands and saying that they're interested. So this is an example of a office that we serve. It's a physical therapy and wellness center. And so an example of A content really has to do directly with the business. So it might be a photo of your facility, a photo of your head doctor or the other partners in your practice. It has to do directly with your business. And here's the thing, people are really excited to know about the history, like how did you come to become a health and wellness professional, or what was your main motivation for getting into whatever specialty you actually have. So anything that has to do directly with that is what we would consider to be A content. B content really has to do with your industry. It engages, it educates, it really helps establish you as an expert in your field. And like David said, this might even be if you do a guest blog post, maybe you're going to link that to your social media accounts. So it doesn't have to do directly with your practice, but it really has to do with that educational aspect and establishing yourself as an expert. So that really is an example of B content. And just remember to be careful and considerate with B content, because you don't want to be giving advice necessarily that would, obviously you want to have a disclaimer that people need to actually speak with their doctor before they try a new practice. That could be potentially harmful, of course. But something like this example, the ideal seated position is a really safe B content concept. And then an example of C content really has nothing to do with your business. It's just kind of that feel-good, proactive outreach. And so when we work with customers, we help develop this content on their behalf and with them, so that they're not constantly posting just about their business and just about promotions and just about getting people in their door. There's a lot of that different content going up, whether it be on Facebook, Twitter, etc. And so having different buckets for that content really encourages your customers to become involved, and they certainly appreciate not just talking about your business. I mean, think of it this way. We've all been on a bad date with someone who's just talking about themselves, and social media is really no different. So you really want to make sure that there's a lot of variety in what you're posting. And you'll notice with all of this that it's really photo driven. social media, it's pretty safe to say, is very photo driven and is even moving towards video. So like David mentioned, it's not even a bad idea to pull out your smartphone and take a quick video of yourself in your office, or perhaps have your receptionist make a quick video about a new product that you're really excited to share with your patients and why you're excited to share it with them, and post that. There's a lot of fun things that you can do on social media to really make your practice exciting and something that people are really eager to hear more about and to get to know you as the medical professional behind the name, perhaps. And so this is a really great opportunity to remain professional, but really get the conversation brewing on social. These are our top 10 ideas that David and I put together that really, no matter what your engagement online, whether it be social media or otherwise, these are really the top 10 things to keep in mind. And this is from the American Medical Association. And David actually pulled these top 10 items, and they really apply to social media, and definitely something that we keep in mind with every health and wellness professional in particular that we work with at MainStreet Hub. Ultimately, you're really responsible for the material that you post. And so taking that responsibility, using good judgment, and keeping in mind that anything that's posted online, even if you choose to delete it later, is permanently connected to you and your reputation through the internet, email archives, etc. And so really keeping those things in mind. And no matter what, social media and your online presence is really an extension of what the patient will experience in your place of business. And so making sure that patient privacy laws are still being adhered to, using that disclaimer, protecting your own privacy for that matter, is really going to be key elements to making sure that what the patient experiences online and what they experience in person is really a cohesive fit. In addition to that, I always like to say, when in doubt, sleep on it, especially as a doctor. You're not a journalist. You have time to really take into consideration these things and to even seek out some assistance before you write that blog post, before you click send in response to a review. So you have that time. And remember, your job is to lead patients toward health. So making sure that you have a really great team around you to make sure that you do that. And like David said, really seeking expert advice, whether, when you need it. One thing that I'm offering to all the participants on this call is a 15 to 20 minute assessment of your social media pages with one of the social media experts that I work with, where they can actually sit with you on the phone and take a look one-on-one with you and your social media pages and give you tips and tricks and best practices to really make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. So I'll give you information about that at the end of this call, but seek that expert advice. And I know David and his team are also a wealth of information and can provide even further assistance through doctor.com. Whether it's social media or any other item that you're posting online on behalf of yourself and your practice, these are 5 things that can help you really determine kind of a checklist of items almost of making sure that they're really up to snuff and link back to your blog post, your website, and making sure that customers are actually getting the best information to make an appointment with you in your office. First of all, making sure that you're searchable, that your business, that your practice is easily recognizable on all social platforms. And whenever you choose to make that guest blog post or whatever, making sure that customers can actually find you and that it's linked back to your website, linked back to your blog. Make sure that it's shareable. Every post, especially on social media, has the potential to be shared. There's free apps that you can use to write or to just type in your name or link your website even on an image. so that if that image is shared and maybe not the caption, that it still is linking back to you. So making sure that that's possible. And you don't have to have an amazing camera to make your photos attractive and informative. Making sure you have the best light by turning on a flash can really be the make or break between a desirable photo and one that people just aren't really engaged with. And when it comes to posting online, making sure that you're really focused on that service and that customers and potential patients have the ability to interact with you. You know, I've even seen where health and wellness professionals have posts of what's your favorite activity to do on the weekend in the summer, or different things like that, just asking their followers questions to get them really engaged and involved. And finally, remember, when people are raising their hand and saying that they are following you and wanting to be involved and seeing your blog posts, etc., you're creating that community of followers. And so offering them a little bit of exclusivity, even a behind the scenes tour of your practice, and getting to know you a little bit better. You can remain professional while still offering a behind the scenes glimpse on what makes your practice and your specialty really unique. And really that could be the make or break decision between a patient choosing to actually come in or not, is how connected they really feel to you and your practice. So like I said before, we really surpassed our 27 things that we were going to share. I hope that you got a few tips and tricks that you can really utilize right away. A lot of these ideas you can really get started, and this is a great time right before the beginning of a brand new year to really turn your presence online around. And so I'm really excited that you were able to be here, and I really want to open up the floor to a Q&A time. I'm going to just move our presentation. This is where you can get in contact with myself and David for some more information about MainStreet Hub and about Doctor.com. And really, we're here to help and excited to answer any questions that you have. If you have some additional questions you would like to ask us, we'll try to get to everyone here, but you can also reach out to us directly through our phone numbers and emails. I just want to kick off the Q&A. David, I just wanted to know, help us explain how you really differ from your competitors and what makes Doctor.com so unique in your offerings for health and wellness professionals.
Thank you, Kristin. How are we different? It's not that hard at all. So the first thing I think that people should know about us is that while there's a couple of companies that offer reputation management services or local business marketing services and things like that, we kind of combine those two, and we're the only company that focuses exclusively on healthcare providers. So working with us, there's a certain level of familiarity and expertise about the medical issues. Second, we have our own proprietary network of content publishers. So we work with websites like HealthGrades, Wellness.com, DocSpot, Healthline, and we publish your listings, and everything that's on the Doctor.com website is simultaneously published out through our content network. And then finally, what makes us kind of different is that we provide our customers with a laptop device. It's called the Review Hub, and it's a special built Chromebook that is locked into doing one thing, and that is only getting online reviews from patients in your office. And so it's a kiosk that sits on the desktop. Usually most of our customers put them at the checkout stand, and customers get a chance to leave you an online review. That review gets professionally edited and curated, so it filters out if anyone should, put in something that's off color or it reveals personal information. Generally, we don't filter bad reviews, but we do take every step to make sure that it is an authentic review from a real patient and doesn't violate any HIPAA privacy or other conditions. That review is published on Doctor.com and then also published on our content network partner sites. So many of our providers have 30, 40, 50 reviews per month. And those reviews accumulate and add up, and you start to dominate. If you want to talk about a great-looking online reputation, that's one way that patients kind of differentiate you from the guy down the hall or the guy down the street is how many positive reviews do you have? And if he has 5 and you have 500, it's a pretty easy case. So those are some of the ways that we're different.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. And just to answer some of the questions coming in through the chat, Valerie, I mean, definitely, Doctor.com is a really great resource and definitely one to check out further. And Michael, just so you know, I will be sending a recording of this webinar to everyone that participated, as well as a link to that social media assessment if you wanted to take advantage of that. So although this particular version of the webinar you can't print, I will be sending that recording so you have access to that if you wanted to go back over some of the ideas that we've covered, or even just review. That will be available to you. I'll send that in an email, so just kind of be on the lookout for that. Oh, of course. We want to be helpful. Perfect.
So I have a question for you, Kristin. I know in working with MainStreet Hub with the past couple of webinars, you guys do a lot of stuff. And I also know that, but I'm kind of curious, have you ever sat down and calculate how much it would cost for one of your customers to hire someone off the street to do what you do?
Yeah, so that's a really funny question. Thank you so much. And just to clarify for the participants on the call, MainStreet Hub, we actually manage social media pages on behalf of small businesses, and a big majority of our current client base is in the health and wellness space. So what that actually means is we work with the small business or practice to actually develop a strong voice, and we have a content writer, graphic designer, social media expert actually manage those pages on behalf of the businesses we serve. So it's often been said that in order to effectively manage a business social media page, you need to have about 50 to 70 hours a month dedicated towards just managing those social media pages as well as customer review sites. And we take all that under our roof here in Austin, Texas, on behalf of the customers we serve throughout the country. So really, what that would kind of break down to is a social media expert, a graphic designer, a content writer, and an account manager. And so that would be 4 separate individuals, even if they somehow manage to settle for minimum wage, we're talking thousands of dollars a month. But with MainStreet Hub, we take it all under one roof. You still have a team of at least 4 people, but it's less than $10 a day. And so we manage Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Yelp for less than $10 a day on behalf of the businesses we serve. So we do a lot. And we create that unique content, and like I shared, we divide it up into A, B, and C content, so there's a lot of variety. And what we do is unlike any other really business in the industry. Social media is important to small businesses, but no one goes into business to manage their social media pages. So yeah, Valerie, I would definitely I'll definitely reach out to you after the webinar and let you know a little bit more about what we do. And like I said, we can get you hooked up with a social media expert to look at your pages and to really determine what would be best for you. And we really have a lot of reverence for local businesses, especially those in the health and wellness space. So we want to make sure that it's win-win-win for everyone. Win for us, win for you, and ultimately a win for the patients. So I want to continue opening up the floor. Does anyone have any additional questions or things that David or myself can clarify so that you're walking away ready to attack your presence online?
So, Kristin, I just got an email from someone who I maybe couldn't use the chat function. I'm not quite sure, but the question, it's actually a really good question. If organic traffic, and I guess maybe it's free traffic, but if organic traffic tends to convert better than paid traffic, why use paid at all? And which is an excellent question, because you can. So I just had this conversation with one of our clients this morning, so I'm fresh. First, organic search and SEO can take years before you get that before it brings in a significant amount of traffic. And so if you're starting today and you need to bring in patients tomorrow, it's not going to work with organic, and it's not going to work with direct traffic and things like that. The other thing is that organic is not reliable. Even if you are crushing it in terms of SEO, the things that made you effective, those techniques, could go away tomorrow if Google changes its search algorithm. And so if you're it's unpredictable, and there are consistent things that you can do that are white hat that will generally be safe and acceptable, but occasionally you might find yourself one day and all of a sudden 20-30% of the traffic you used to get is gone, and it takes you a while to figure out what happened. So paid is one of those things that it will fill in those gaps. It will prime the pump and get you started. But I think increasingly you have to look at it as a, I get back to that, sorry to use the jargon, but it really is appropriate, that multi-channel, multi-dimensional kind of conversion funnel. You're dealing with people that have 5 browser windows open from 3 different devices. They're getting information from social media channels, from advertising, from a range of different things. Search is just one of the avenues that they're pursuing, and it's generally early on in the relationship. As they get closer and closer to you, then they're checking out your website, they're checking out the things that you wrote, they're checking out your reviews, your online reputation, they're making subtle judgments about the way you look online. And all those things kind of add up until there's the one trigger event that, okay, I got to call this guy because he's the best, or he looks like he's the most credible. And that's when they call you. And so it could be that it's a call from an ad, maybe because they kind of forgot and they just Googled you again and clicked on the ad. Or it could be from an organic search, or it could be they bookmarked your website. In some ways, it's kind of unpredictable. It could be just they looked you up on doctor.com and called the number that was there. So having a very well-rounded marketing strategy and understanding that, not every one bucket is going to be the miracle cure, but making sure that you've got it's almost like, it's kind of a coarse analogy, but it's like roulette. It's making sure you have a number of chips on the table. You'll increase your chances of winning and participating. So I hope I answered that question.
I'm just looking at the chat box here. Thank you, David. Alton is asking what to do if we receive a clearly incorrect negative internet rating.
Got it. Okay, yeah,
do you want to take on that?
Yeah, that happens. There's a couple of things. I mean, it's completely, it's unpleasant and unfair, and usually, it's difficult to address. So if it's clearly, look at the site. This is walk down the checklist. Look at the site, look at the terms of use on the website on which the review is published. And if it clearly violates the terms of use, like it reveals confidential information, it uses profanity, it's slanderous, it's demonstrably inaccurate, write a letter to the publisher of that website pointing that out. And then flag that review and encourage other people at different computers at different times to also flag that review as being inappropriate. Those two things could set in motion the publisher's obligation to live up to their terms of use, and that may result in a review or coming down. There are certain websites like Yelp and others where that just won't help. They have a very strong publisher feeling that every opinion counts regardless of how crazy it might seem. The second thing that you can do is to invest in, look at your own profile. And so then reputation management becomes sort of an SEO game. And if that website ranks highly for search terms related to your name, you have to work with someone to make sure that other websites rank higher and more strongly than where that bad review was published. And that can take a week, it can take a year, but through an aggressive program of promoting other links that push your search results up and that bad one down, once there's an old saying, the best place to bury a body is on page 2 of Google search results because no one looks. And so that's kind of the game here. If you're on the front page of the New York Times because of medical malpractice, I wish you good luck. It would be near impossible to get that out there. But if someone writes a snarky, bad review on some backwater little blog with a little bit of work on the reputation management side, that will go away in a matter of a couple weeks. Also keep in mind, patients are pretty forgiving, and they'll kind of look at a bad review and they'll put it in the context of the good reviews that they see. So if it's one bad review and it's on a website that has only 2 other reviews and you have like a 2-star rating there and it sits there forever, that's bad news. But if that's one bad review and then there's 49 others that are 5-star reviews, all of a sudden 2 things happen. Well, first, everyone watching that says, oh, that guy's a crank. That guy's, he's got a screw loose. But look, at everyone else must be right because 48 people said this guy was great. 1 person said he was a crank. The other thing it does is that it legitimizes the good reviews. Because if people see that there's this, divergent range of opinion, they tend to say, well, this site must be honest and these must be honest reviews, because after all, if they were all just shills and they were all just publishing, happy talk for the doctor, they'd all be good. But there's a couple of bad reviews in here, so that must mean that all the good reviews are true. And so that it in an odd way, 1 or 2 bad reviews can actually help you because it enhances the credibility of the good reviews that you do get.
I think that's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. And I would say the same thing. Part of what we do at MainStreet Hub is deal with a lot of those negative reviews. So that's certainly something that we recommend too, is make sure that it falls under the content guidelines and then taking it from there. So that's a really good point, David. And Valerie is asking, the higher the quality of your blog content, the better your business visibility. What is the ideal current blog frequency? I know for social media, Valerie, we recommend posting 3 to 4 times a week across different platforms, and that's what we do on behalf of the customers we serve. David, do you have anything that you would like to add to that might be able to help Valerie out as far as specifically blog posts?
Yeah, it sort of depends. I mean, it's like a marathon, just get on a pace that you're comfortable with, build up, kind of a repertoire of some evergreen articles that you can, if you get really busy and you honestly can't do that. But I think the minimum is like once a month. And then, a lot of times it can be short, but they should all be substantive. And so, if something came up, I mean, recently during the presidential campaign, people were speculating about if Hillary Clinton had diseases or something like that. That's very topical, and if you had an opinion, I know that doctors were blogging about, that pro or con, just, doing some which is probably not the best way to diagnose over the internet, but, those are opportunistic kind of things where you can insert yourself into the fray, and people who are searching on that topic will eventually find you. So if you did that once a month, you would miss that wave. If you wait until that perfect moment. It might be 4 months in between, and then you get back to what Kristin was saying about just, being kind of relevant. So find a healthy balance. In my book, it's maybe once a month, once every other month.
Perfect. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for helping us with questions. And Valerie, I'm actually going to be reaching out to you today. I'll have someone contact you today so you can get some answers about your social media pages more one-on-one. And if anyone else is interested in finding that out, I'll be sending out the assessment request for a consultation with the recording that I'm sending out today. Please reach out to either David or myself directly if you have any other questions. We are so excited to have you here and deeply, deeply thankful for having you guys on the call, and hope that you can walk away with some stuff to help you out immediately with your presence online. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. David, is there anything else that you would like to mention before we end the webinar today?
Nope. I thank you very much for everyone for sticking with us. I'm pleased we kept so many people here, but let's not abuse that. We'll end it right now.
Thank you so much, David. It was a pleasure working with you and getting your expertise. And thank you to everyone that participated today. I hope you have a great rest of your day.